Hey guys! Part 4 of What If Naruto Can Use Space-Time Ninjutsu and Travel Between Universes. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start! Chapter 10, The Killing Field. In less than a minute, everything went straight to hell. While Kakashi and his team avoided the multiple weapons thrown at them, they broke their formation to do so, like all the ninjas present. The three masked men charged at them, and the situation evolved into a chaotic melee. The Jonin's Sharingan, however, helped him keep track of the events. Firstly, his genin were currently fighting one of the fake hunter nin, the one in white. The missing nin was now covered with an armor of bones, making him look like a knight. He was wielding a flail, made of a skull and vertebrae. Secondly, Kitsune, Kisame, Zabuza and that Amaterasu guy began to attack each other. The young blonde transformed into a werfox. The SS-rank shinobi picked up two katanas, and engaged the two swordsmen of Mist in a fencing battle. Thirdly, the second hunter nin formed a dome of ice around him, Chibaku, Shinja, Naruto and the man with mismatched eyes. Before they disappeared from Kakashi's view, he saw Naruto beginning a water jutsu, and the masked ninja projecting chakra with his hand at his enemies. Finally, Kazama and Kakashi himself were assaulted by the last Madara Uchiha, who shot blue fireballs at them with his fingers. The two ninjas avoided them all, and riposted with the heat wave and the dragon's breath. The result was a massive cone of fire hoisted at their opponent. Space twisted, and the inferno got absorbed by the man, as if he were a vacuum cleaner. Madara put his palms together, and a freaking tornado formed around him. Unable to resist, Kakashi and his ally were swallowed by it, like the sea's water and large chunks of the bridge. Reacting quickly, Kazama used Heat Wave to propel himself within the tornado, and Kakashi imitated him with great breakthrough. Their enemy seemed to simply walk on the winds, perfectly at ease within the chaos. Kazama, closing the space between him and his enemy, tried to ram a Rasengan in the masked man's chest, only to fall through him. Then, Madara somehow transformed himself into a black hole, absorbing everything near him. A second later, Kakashi had left the inside of a tornado for a dark place. He landed on a strange pillar of rock, before jumping on the side, escaping death when a large part of the bridge crashed near him. The location was composed of white structures and a shadowy, moonless and starless sky. Kazama was too on another pillar, but Madara was nowhere to be seen. The blonde approached the Jonin. "Kakashi-sensei, do you have any idea where we are?" The man masked his surprise, and shook his head. "No," the other ninja sighed. "Well, that's too." Faster than the wind, Kakashi rammed a Chidori in the blonde's chest, and as expected, went through him. "How did you know?" Madara said, as he retook his original form, teleporting a bit away. "My Sharingan can recognize a henge when it sees one," the man replied. "That, and Kazama is always disturbed when he calls me Kakashi-sensei, which you weren't." The masked man's lone eye blinked. "So Obito is helping you from beyond the grave?" Blue fire formed within his palm. "Let me see if you are worthy of my descendants' help." Suddenly a blast of cold wind blew toward Madara, who vanished. Kazama, the real one, landed next to Kakashi. "I don't know what kind of place is it, and I don't see any escape." "He swallowed us," the Jonin stated. "Perhaps this place is the source of his powers?" A deep voice resonated in the air. "Correct, Hatake Kakashi," Madara whispered. "This is the Takamagara, a pocket dimension linked to my Sharingan, created by myself and only for myself. The only way to leave is to beat me." The masked man reappeared far, far away. "Meteor shower!" he shouted. Red lights illuminated the darkness above the trio. Burning rocks of the size of shuriken descended upon them, at an incredible speed. As fast as they could, Kakashi and Kazama began to run at Madara, struggling to avoid the falling stars along the way. The masked man used the technique Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Kakashi's eyes widened in horror as a second Madara appeared next to the original, charged at the Jonin, and almost put a kunai in the copy nin's skull. In a masterful show of agility, the ninja moved his head out of the weapon's way, and at the same time attempted to punch his opponent in the belly. Unfortunately, his adversary jumped to the side, an action that shocked the gray-haired shinobi. He didn't turn intangible, Kakashi thought. He didn't teleport either. This clone can't use all of the original's abilities. Devising a strategy, the Jonin briefly looked sideways at his partner, who was engaged in a ninjutsu battle with the other Madara. The copy exploited his moment of inattention, projecting a cone of blue fire with his palm at the copy nin. Deciding to counter fire with fire, the ninja riposted with the dragon's breath. The two infernos collided in a massive firework. Suddenly, the Uchiha's clone ceased to project his azure blaze, bent down in an attack pose, and slammed the ground with his right hand. One of the pillars jumped out of the floor, and Madara kicked it, sending it flying at Kakashi. The man cut the missile in half with the beast-tearing palm, saving his own life. Then, the Kage Bunshin oriented his clenched fists toward the soil. They projected blue fire, and propelled Madara in the air. The floating ninja then began to spit fireballs at Kakashi. The man sighed as he prepared a jutsu. If a simple shadow clone is strong enough to compete with me, I don't think my partner will be able to defeat the original alone. I must kill this copy, and rush to Kazama's help. Unfortunately, he had the feeling things wouldn't be so easy. The traveler, Kazama. 10 shadow clones of Kazama used Heat Wave at the same moment, targeting Tsukiyomi, who didn't move. Behold the wrath of the skies. Wind release, Fujin. An invisible blast pushed back the blonde's attack, dissipated them, shattered the pillars, and hit the world wanderer with the strength of a cannonball. The teenager flew, and crashed on the ground, feeling some of his bones breaking under the shock. Struggling to ignore the pain, the young man rose up, and used Cold Wave at Madara. This time, his adversary faded out of Kazama's sight. I see that you have mastered some of your ancestral techniques, the ninja's voice muttered to the blonde's ears. It is good. The blood of the Uzumaki is still strong within you. Unfortunately, the masked man said, as he appeared right before his adversary, Konoha's actions have restrained it. He tried to punch Kazama in the face, but the blonde instinctively tilted his head, before grabbing the man's arm, or at least, trying, as his own hands simply went through it. Stepping back, the blonde avoided a kick, and then another. Madara attacked again and again, but the teenager managed to redirect most blows away, at least, when his enemy wasn't becoming intangible. Oh, you are using the Azure Dragon style? The masked man asked, curious. It's a very bastardized, inferior version, but still, I wonder where you found its instructions, anyway. I have bad news for you. What? You're not very good at it yet, the man stated, as he grabbed the blonde's sleeves, restrained his arms, and approached his head. Kazama found himself locking eyes with his opponent's strange and gleaming Sharingan, Tsukiyomi. Instantly, the world turned red. Kazama inwardly cursed, as he found himself standing on a cloud, under a crimson moon. He could see the bloody earth below, and more importantly, Uchiha Madara looking at him from another drift. Welcome in my mind, Uzumaki Naruto, the werfox, Kitsune. Kill them! The voices ordered. Am doing what I can, Kitsune answered, as he moved out of a katana's way. Amaterasu continued his assault, lazily countering Kisame's attempts at cutting him in half. Zabuza decided to take his chance and behead both the werfox and the SS rank menace. Kitsune bent down, avoiding the attack, and Amaterasu jumped. Spinning, the man counterattacked by cutting the missing nin's left shoulder, before kicking him in the jaw. Zabuza staggered and protected himself from a second strike, by using his massive blade like a shield. Kitsune decided to exploit the occasion. Wind release, drilling air bullet. Nonchalantly, Amaterasu fell through the ground, and the blast of wind ejected Zabuza out of the bridge, making him fall into the sea. Then, Kisame tried to shred the werfox apart with Samahata, but stopped moving, as lines of ink covered his body. What? The man yelled. Sasori's seal. You won't be able to move for a good time. He showed his fangs. But I can, someone chuckled. So you have your little surprises, Kit. Kitsune turned his head, and locked eyes with Amaterasu. The voice's rage and thirst for revenge overwhelmed him, and the possessed boy adopted a bestial, ferocious pose. I have to repay you for last time, the masked man said, as he caressed his shoulder with his duke. He dropped his blades, and cracked his fingers. Why not settle our feud hand-to-hand, in a good old fist fight? The werfox roared, and charged. Amaterasu lowered his stance, his eyes fixed on his incoming opponent. Then, he ran toward Kitsune, and punched him in the chest, breaking ribs. Kitsune didn't care, and swung his paw, almost beheading the man, who tilted his head. A second later, a fist impacted on the werfox's face. His adversary became invisible. His speed was incredible, and his blows were like cannonballs. Sheltering himself behind his arms, the boy resisted the tempest of strikes painfully, sensing his bones being shattered and his blood dripping on the bridge. A powerful upper kick hit his jaw, and sent him fly in the air. Amaterasu teleported behind him, closely following his movements. Strange threads worked their way out of his armor, like black tentacles. Earth grudge, fear, aerial capture. The strings grabbed Kitsune, winding around his muscles. Madara's lotus, fallen lord, the masked man whispered, both teleported above the clouds, before descending toward the bridge, spinning rapidly. Kitsune knew his head would be the first thing to hit the ground, and thought fast about a way to save his own life. As the duel was 10 meters above the floor, the war fox opened his muzzle. He released a blast of air, which slowed down his fall. Crimson chakra covered his fur. The collision was extremely brutal. Kitsune felt as if someone had dropped a mountain on him. The bridge broke partially, and rocks shattered. The war fox didn't doubt that without the Kyuubi's power protecting him and healing his wounds he would have died. Even then, he couldn't move, laying pathetically on the ground, at Amarasu's mercy. The masked man was standing before the blond boy, narrowing his head at him. So you survived. I have to admit it, you are very resilient, but it wasn't enough. The war fox growled in a feeble response. It's nothing personal, the Uchiha said, as he took one of the swords nearby. It is simply the law of nature. The strong kills the weak, the predator eats the prey. Go to hell, the boy spat, as he unwillingly retook his original appearance. The voices were silent, stunned. I am already in it, the man said, as he wavered his blade. I am living in a world where the weak is prospering, where no one can compete with me. What is a warrior without worthy foes to overcome? Alone, a voice answered. Kitsune and Amaterasu turned their face toward an immobile Kisame, who was smirking. A true warrior doesn't fight for money, for power, for peace. A true warrior fights for the fight itself, kill for the sake of killing. Names, position, causes, glory, do not matter. Only the challenge matters. He difficultly brandished Samahata, struggling against the seal. This philosophy, I understand it perfectly. The masked man teleported before Kisame. Then, if you are like me, are you willing to fight me? Yes. Even if your chances of defeating me are almost inexistent? Yes, the man declared with a shark-like grin. Amaterasu stayed silent, before touching Kisame's neck with his fingers. The seal vanished. Then come. The two combatants swung their swords, beginning their duel. Kitsune, unable to move, watched silently the spectacular battle. Skills, parades, tricks, two weapon masters were displaying their abilities to their fullest. Amaterasu only relied on his weapon, preventing Kisame's use of ninjutsu by targeting his arms all the time. No techniques. Let our blades decide our fate. Fine, the missing nin snarled. I will kill you the way you want. And yet, despite his bragging, Kisame was obviously the underdog. Kitsune saw him slowly getting cut more and more, his movements becoming more and more sloppy, his speed being reduced. Amaterasu's assaults were savage and deadly. He was at tempest that couldn't be stopped. The swordsman from Mist tried to behead his enemy one last time, and a sword pierced his body, splattering the soil with blood. After a while, Kisame fell on the ground, a sword through his belly. Amaterasu stood still, like a statue. In the end, the battle had a clear winner, the normal. Naruto was having a bad day. He and his team were fighting a monster. A physical one. The ninja looked like a samurai, but his armor was composed of ribs and bones. It was like a human whose flesh had been replaced by the material underneath it. His weapon was especially dangerous. The skull flail, attached to a spine, moved quickly and brutally. It had already shattered the ground more than once, and Naruto had no doubt that any hit of this thing would be deadly. Surrender Tazuna to me, the monster ordered. Do it, and I will let you live, the disguised clone grunted. Am not even the real deal, he said, as he retook his original appearance. The skeleton clenched his fists. Where is Tazuna? We have things more important to deal with right now, the clone yelled. This trio is going to slaughter us if… The freak twisted his hand, and the flail pulverized the doppelgangers. He frowned. A clone, he murmured to himself, before staring at the three genin. Where is Tazuna? The real one. As if we were going to tell you. Sakura spat. The monster straightened up. Either you do or you die, idiot, Naruto snarled. Kazama-san is right, these three guys are gunning for us all. Why not make a truce? The skeleton snorted. My companions can handle these arrogant trashes. Even better, they will make your allies' defeat easier. You fool, Sasuke sneered. You are going to die. Your friends are the only one that will fall today, the monster shot back. Enough talk. Where is the real Tazuna? The Uchiha's response consisted of 4 words. Fire release, Wild Phoenix. 3 fireballs impacted on the freak, who didn't even flinch. Fine, the monster grunted. You are going down. Fear the wrath of the last of the Kaguya, Kimimaro. He swung the flail, and tried to smash Sasuke with it. The genin barely saved his life by jumping backward. The skeleton began to slowly walk at the trio. Naruto gazed at Sakura. Ready, ready and waiting. The two then lowered their stance, before executing hand seals in perfect synchronization. The violent water wave and the violent wind palm were used the same instant, creating a powerful jet of water, aimed at Kimimaro. But it didn't even slow the bastard down. The freak pointed his fingers at them, shooting 5 bones bullets. Sakura put herself between her team and the projectile. Water release, water tornado. The shield of liquid whirled, and the shots went through it. Sakura screamed as 2 bullets lodged themselves in her left shoulder, while Sasuke and Naruto managed to avoid the 3 remaining ones. As fury spread over his face, Naruto didn't even wait to land on the ground to attack, making the seals necessary for the beast-tearing palm. The cutting gale slashed Kimimaro's helmet of bone, but barely scratched it. Is this guy invulnerable? The genin wondered, as he rushed at his girlfriend's rescue, while Sasuke bombarded the freak with fire techniques, stalling his advance. Sakura-chan, are you alright? Yeah, she replied, as she got up. We have to. Kimimaro tried to kill the Uchiha with a swing of his flail, but the genin jumped, and the weapon continued its course. The attack's real target wasn't Sasuke. It was Sakura. He pushed her on the side, and the flail smashed his spine, shattered it, his bones and his ribs, before making him crash on the ground. The blonde's view became red and blurry. He couldn't hear well, he couldn't even feel his limbs. Sideways, he saw Sakura crying over him. Survive. Sakura-chan, Naruto whispered before closing his eyes, never to open them again. The girl, Naruko. As a dome of mirrors enclosed Haku, Susanoo, Sasori and the pervert, Naruko attacked. Water release, snake's mouth. The water on the bridge, left by the rain, took the form of a furious reptile that opened its jaw at the fatalist bastard. The man opened his palm in the viper's direction, and a flare of white chakra destroyed the liquid creature. You have progressed, little girl, the masked ninja grunted. But it isn't enough. Then take that. Chibaku shouted, as his puppet opened its muzzle. Puppet technique, blinding breath. The machine spat white gas at Susanoo. At the same, hundreds reflections of Haku formed on the ice. 1,000 flying water needles of death. She unleashed a true rain of saban, but not on everyone. Simply on the Uchiha jerk. The man's red eye transformed into a black hole that swallowed the weapons and the gas. Naruko saw a smirk spread over Sasori's face. One of his 2 dummies, looking like a black and thin female humanoid, jumped into the gap within space, staying attached to the second puppet. The white male machine plunged all his fingers into the bridge, an act that allowed him not to be absorbed. And then, Susanoo screamed. Naruko stayed still, terrified, as the masked monster roared in pain. The chain turned white, and the Uchiha bastard grabbed it. Sasori's grin widened. Attack! Obeying, Naruko threw a full volley of kunai, imitated by Chibaku. The weapons flew, and Haku launched innumerable needles herself. They almost hit Susanoo, and he groaned something. Shinra. Tensei. The projectiles suddenly changed course, switching target. Naruko, Sasori and Chibaku sheltered themselves behind Yukmachi, and Haku's mirrors protected her. Finally, Susanoo succeeded in ejecting the black dummy from the hole, sending it crash on the dome. The puppet shattered, and its owner promptly sealed it and its white partner into a scroll. Susanoo glared at the redhead puppeteer. What? What have you done to me? He yelled hatefully. Sasori answered by pointing his palm at his opponent, and a jet of pressurized water flowed out of it in the Uchiha bastard's direction. The masked man brutally slammed his hands. Shinra Tensei, an invisible force pushed back the water, Naruko and her companions, before making the dome explode into thousands of ice shards. Rising up, the blonde girl began a jutsu. Water release, stormy blockade. The clouds spat a real waterfall upon Susanoo, who stared at the skies. His mask radiated with a blue light, and a powerful beam coming from the ninja's Rinnegan vaporized the liquid. The Uchiha stared at Naruko. You sure love water, don't you? He snarled. And I really love fire. He pointed his index at her, and a powerful cone of blue fire rushed toward her. A wall of water saved her from death, and a fake hunter-nin appeared next to the blonde girl. Naruko-san, are you okay? She nodded. Thank you, Haku-chan. It's nothing, the kunoichi replied, as she created a real fortress of ice between her and Susanoo's endless blaze. He and his allies are menacing us all. If we combine our efforts, surely we. The cold wall exploded, interrupting the young lady. A blue light was emanating from the Uchiha bastard's Rinnegan. Goodbye, he whispered, as he shot a powerful beam at the two girls. This time, a shield of black metal protected them, even though a large part of it melted. Sasori was twitching his fingers, making a humanoid puppet release iron sand from its mouth. Chibaku had sealed Yukmachi, and approached the two kunoichi. Are you alright? He asked them. Both nodded. What happened? Naruto wondered. He doesn't absorb anything now. The blonde puppeteer smirked. We neutralized his power over space. How? She gasped. By unbalancing his chakra, he explained. He is a master of the yin and yang releases, two special affinities for chakra. By manipulating them, he affects the fabric of time-space. It's complicated, but when we sent the Izanami into his hole, it spread yin chakra into it. Having too much yin and not enough yang to equalize his energy, his chakra went awry, and will probably stay unstable for a long time. Noticing the two girls' questioning frowns, Chibaku sighed. Basically, we screwed his chakra control, and he cannot become intangible, nor teleport, without it. He still has an incredible firepower, Sasori continued, as the black sand stopped multiple beams of light. He is however vulnerable at close range now. Chibaku, Naruto, as soon as I and the Hayatan girl create an opening, you will close the gap between us and him, and assault him physically. And how are we supposed to survive, Sasori? Chibaku grumbled. He'll vaporize us before we can even reach him. By using the Kyuubi's help, the redhead replied. If I remember well, I specifically modified your seal to facilitate your contact with it, haven't I? The blonde opened his mouth, but closed it almost immediately. His eyes became red, and a cloak of crimson chakra covered his body. Sasori then stared blankly at Naruto. And you, Kyuubi-san, I need help. Of course, the bijou complied, and she felt the demon's energy racing through her veins. Make this cursed asshole suffer as much as possible. I owe him one hell of a beating, and I really want to pay him back. Two tails formed in her back, and three behind Chibaku. The redhead puppeteer locked eyes with Haku. Ready? She nodded. Yes, Sasori-san, then let's go. The wall of iron sand shifted and transformed into spears flying at Susanoo. Haku shot shards of ice at the same target, and both Chibaku and Naruto began to run faster than the wind. The Uchiha bastard waved his hands, and projected jets of chakra toward them, his Rinnegan still shooting beams. The next 20 seconds were extremely chaotic for the blonde girl. Unable to properly observe what was going on around her, her view being reduced thanks to the speed, she only saw incoming rays of light, and avoided them. She heard the sounds of shouts, explosions and of the bridge's destruction, but she didn't stop her course. Then, Naruto stared at Chibaku, who reached Susanoo the first. The blonde puppeteer tried to punch the masked man, who simply blinked. A second later, the blonde puppeteer was sent flying away. A second later, Naruto prepared herself to kick the Uchiha. A second later, the man noticed her, and his eyes widened. A second later, the blonde girl's foot connected with the proud jerk's head. A second later, Uchiha Madara was propelled backward, his mask cracking under the shock. A second later, an invisible force made Naruto crash on the ground. 3 seconds later, both she and Susanoo got up. A second later, they glared at each other. A second later, the masked man yelled, Shinra Tensei. A second later, Naruto's eyes widened, as the whole construction was pushed underwater, breaking. A second later, the blonde girl, and about a third of the bridge, sank into the ocean. The traveler, Kazama. Your attempts at harming me are useless, young man, Tsukiyomi said as Kazam tried to ram a Rasengan in his chest, but simply passing through him. The SS rank ninja teleported, reappearing a few meters away. I am omnipotent in this illusion, Tsukiyomi declared. I control time and space, energy and matter, life and death. For 3 days you will be at my mercy. Don't worry, I won't torture you, if that's what you fear. Then what do you want? The demon vessel spat. I want to talk, he explained. I want to convince you to stop this madness. Can't you see that our enmity is pointless? We can do great things together, instead of battling? The teenager gritted his teeth. And you really expect me to hear you? Yes, the masked man answered. What have you to lose in listening to my words? Let me explain you the whole situation. You might find my propositions interesting, and I have answers to all your questions. The ninja wasn't wrong. Kazama had nothing to lose in hearing him. Hell, he had listened to Mizuki's, Niji's, Gaara's, Sasuke's and Orochimaru's ramblings. He could survive this man's sentences, and if he knew the whole truth about him. Alright, you won, the blonde stated. I will listen to you, at least, until I find a way to escape this illusion, he added silently. I am happy to hear that, Tsukiyomi said. You won't be disappointed. A table and 2 chairs formed out of the clouds, and the masked man sat on one of them. Please, get comfortable. Kazama reluctantly sat down. Let me present myself. I am Uchiha Madara, founder of Konohagakure, former leader of the Uchiha clan, and Akatsuki's strategist and second-in-command, the SS rank ninja explained with a proud, if polite, tone. I have adopted the code name of Tsukiyomi to facilitate battle plans with my 2 counterparts, and I am from the same world as you, so this guy was in the Akatsuki. I should have guessed before, with his robes. I am simply Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde replied. Why were you in the Akatsuki? The man chuckled. Honestly? To destroy Konoha, for betraying me, he declared. Okay, it's confirmed. He is not a nice guy. And secondly, to obtain the power necessary to reshape the world in my image, and to create a utopia. A utopia? Kazama asked. I have a vision, Madara explained. In my dreams, I have seen a perfect world. Tell Uzumaki Naruto, he locked eyes with the blonde. Do you have dreams? Ambitions? That was a difficult question. Once upon a time, he had desired to be Hokage, to earn the acknowledgement of the citizens of Konoha. But not anymore, not after this whole conspiracy deal. He had goals, but I wouldn't call it dreams, more like quests. Tsukiyomi silently invited him to continue. I want to help all my counterparts that suffer in this multiverse, he said. I want to find who is behind our crappy life. I want to see my parents. I want to see Uzushigakure or restore it. I have a lot of goals. This is a good thing, to have multiple objectives, the masked man declared. Sacrificing everything for one dream is self-destructive. My descendant Sasuke is the living proof of that. He showed it, at the Valley of the End. Kazama's eyes widened. You were present? Not in flesh, Madara replied. One of Akatsuki's agents recorded the fight, and I carefully observed it. Like all good ancestors, I am watching over my great-great-great-grandson. I see. Anyway, the masked man waved his hand. What is your opinion of Konoha? Bad. It's complicated. They ostracized you for something you didn't do, Madara pointed out with a soft voice. They hated you. They ruined your life. They prevented you from reaching your full potential. They tried to transform you into a slave. If I had been you, I would have said I want to destroy them all. They didn't all hate me, he replied. That, at least, was true. Who? Tsukiyomi asked. The owners of a ramen stand? Irika Yumino? He chuckled at Kazama's blank expression. Don't be surprised. My agents observed you all of your life. I know almost everything about you, at least, until you began hopping worlds. I know that your only non-hostile human contacts before your graduation were the Sandaime, your instructor Irika Yumino, the proprietors of Ikarakus, and sometimes your fellow slackers, Inuzuka Kiba, Akimichi Chuji and Naro Shikamaru. The first was simply seeing you to better manipulate you, the seconds were talking to you simply because you represented more than 2/3 of their income, the third simply helped you out of pity, and the other kids viewed you as an accomplice at best and an annoyance at worst. That's wrong! The teenager shouted. I'm not sure anymore about the Sandaime, but, Naruto-san, the masked man interrupted him calmly. Have you ever seen someone else at the Ikaraku's ramen stand, beside you, Irika, and Sarutobi? The question took Kazama aback, and terrified him once the teenager realized that the answer was no. Ramen is not the most successful of all industries, Madara explained. The Ikaraku's was almost bankrupt before you came. With you and the Sandaime as regular and generous customers, Tuchi-san and his daughter didn't fear poverty anymore. That's the only reason they treated you well. They couldn't afford to lose you. That's a lie, that's a lie. About your friends at the academy, let me ask you, did they ever invite you to their home? Did they ever try to stay in the same room as you, when you weren't punished? Did they ever offer anything to you? Kazama's silence was a good enough answer. And Irika, apart from being slightly professional, what has he done for you? Did he give you remedial classes? Did he train you? Did he mentor you? He saved my life, Kazama shot back. For you or for the village? Madara pointed out. He simply protected his country's best weapon, and the forbidden scroll. He was a ninja doing his job, nothing more. Anger spread over the teenager's face. You're wrong, Naruto-san, the ninja whispered kindly. It pains me to say that, but it is the truth. Irika isn't your friend. A true friend would have been there to help you refine your skills, would have accompanied you when you chased after Sasuke, would have invited you at his home, and Irika did nothing, except paying a few ramen bowls and protecting you once, only because your death, and the loss of the Forbidden Scroll, would have been a crushing blow to Konoha. He saw you as a human being, yes? As a fellow comrade? Probably. But as a friend? I don't think so. He is lying. He must be lying about your team. Sasuke tried to kill you. Sakura beat you, insulted you, almost deserted to follow Sasuke, which equaled to abandoning you, the boy that saved her life from Gaara, before forcing you to bring back her crush, like you were some kind of dog, while she didn't even help. And when you returned, she still didn't consider you at your rightful valor. She rejected your advances. She still loved a traitor. She still thought you would obey her. Tell me, Naruto-san, with friends like this, do you really need enemies? Kazama clenched his fists. He hated to admit it, but Tsukiyomi was right. Completely. He was telling the truth, the horrible truth that he had tried to ignore. It was like listening to Orochimaru's rant in the Land of Grass, all over again. Kakashi didn't adopt you, the son of his mentor. He left you alone, only taught you tree climbing of all things, and fully expected you to fail at the Chunin exams. Those who betray ninja rules are trash, but those who betray their comrades are worse than trash, that's his motto. He is quite the hypocrite, isn't he? I already know, Kazama whispered. They aren't my only friends. Oh? You must be talking about your other teammates, the ones that helped you during your failed attempt at capturing my descendant? Except doing their job, what have they done for you? Nothing. Sigh. He backstabbed you. Yamato? He was your leash. He was only there to restrain you, should you ever go crazy. Tsunade didn't believe enough in you to allow you to work without being watched. I have, he almost said Jiraiya, but remembered his flawed training. I have Gaara. He isn't from Konoha, Tsukiyomi noticed. He is from Suna. Who, in Konoha, is really your friend? Tsunade, he said. Shizen, Madara blinked. Naruto-san, are you aware of the existence of the Inner Council? The what? I don't know what you are talking about. The Inner Council is an unofficial assembly of powerful people that are basically the anti-establishment to the Hokage's power. It is a shadowy force that rules Konoha from behind the scenes, and it's responsible for most of your problems. Kazama's eyes widened. The conspiracy? You can call it that, if you want, but the Inner Council is far more than a simple cabal. It has existed through the ages, under different forms, and formed under the Shodame's rule. The first Inner Circle had been eliminated by the Nidaime. The second Inner Circle came into being during the Sandaime's late years, before being destroyed by the Yondaime. The third Inner Circle really formed after your birth, and still existed once we both left our original dimension. The demon vessel thought about this new piece of information. One alternate Sandaime explained me that they were composed of many influential people, but refused to give me names. Do you have them? Of course, Madara declared. But since things are different in each alternate worlds, the members might change, depending on the universe's changes. Kazama gritted his teeth. The man was right, once again. Anyway, I want you to give me their names. Tsukiyomi chuckled. I will do far better than that. Before the teenager could do anything, the world changed. They had left the skies for a dark room. Dozens of people were sitting around a great table. The blonde and the Uchiha's chairs were floating above them. This is one of the last meetings that one of my agents recorded, Madara explained. It was right before your departure from Konoha. He descended among them. Come, and see for yourself. I will tell you who they are. Kazama obeyed, and stared at his tormentors, a dark-haired man with white eyes. Hayashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan, an adult copy of Shino. Shibi Aburame, head of the Aburame clan, a blonde man. Inoichi Yamanaka, head of the Yamanaka clan, an adult Shikamaru. Shikaku Nara, head of the Nara clan, an old woman. Koharu Yuditane, counselor of the Hokage, and the Sandaime's teammate, an old man. Hamura Mitokado, counselor and former teammate of the Sandaime. The list continued. Most were powerful merchants, influent jounin, and even a friend of the daimyo. And finally, a blonde woman, wearing green robes. Kazama's face was one blank expression. Another, dark-haired medic was standing behind her. Tsunade Senju, Godame Hokage of Konoha. Not a member, but rather, an executive. She is currently being kindly asked to order something to Jiraiya, specifically, to teach you a flawed style, so Konoha's agents will be able to put you down easily, and to study your Jinchuriki's powers, and as you know, the man complied. Her assistant Shizen was present, and didn't say a word. The masked man touched the blonde teenager's shoulder. So tell me, Naruto-san, do you have any friends in Konoha? Silence fell. No. The statement was sad and pitiful. It was the anguish of a broken man, the despaired cry of a reluctant loner, the suffering of a martyr. The scene crumbled, leaving only a deserted land. Are you happy now? Kazama asked, depressed. Damn, tears were dripping from his own eyes. Why should I? The masked man asked. I am not a monster that feeds on others' suffering. He joined his fingers. Naruto-san, you must understand that, well, I am like you. Or rather, I was like you, once upon a time. The land became a forest, and the duel was staring at a man wearing a red armor. His eyes were Sharingan. Another, younger Uchiha was standing beside him, wearing a blue armor. I am the man in red, Madara stated. The other is my brother, Izuna, the only person I would have been ready to die for. When I was at my worst, he gave his most precious gift, willingly, to help me. 1 second later, the younger Madara was cradling his bleeding brother. On his deathbed, he forced me to promise him something. That one day, I would create a world where the gifted wouldn't be feared, where bright would prosper, where the privilege of name will be replaced the privilege of merit. Kazama saw an armored Madara shaking hand with the Shodaime. With Hashirama Senju, I founded Konoha on this basis. I thought it would be a utopia, a model, and I was wrong. Pictures of the 9 Bijou formed before them. Do you know that Hashirama and I captured the 9 demons? That we sacrificed our men, our time, our resources, to capture them? And do you know that in one act, they were all stolen from us? The duel was now in the Hokage's office, where Madara was in an argument with the Shodaime. Once the other countries asked, Hashirama gave them the Bijou. To promote world peace, he said. For the sake of equality, those who worked hard to gain them had nothing, and those who stayed on the background, out of cowardice, obtained the result of our efforts. Can you imagine the pain I felt? To see all my beliefs being trampled upon by my most esteemed rival? The world became dark. Madara was staring at a crowd of Uchiha, all glaring at him. I tried to rally my clan, to change things, but they betrayed me. They preferred the easy way. They ignored the sacrifice of my brother, of the dead, to preserve their peace, or rather, servitude. My own wife and children left me, the man roared, as a beautiful woman and 3 kids shook their head at him. I damned myself for them, and they backstabbed me. Kazama stayed silent. The masked man's eyes were full of an endless hate, the same eyes as Sasuke. The illusion took the appearance of the Valley of the End. So I snapped. I tamed the Kyuubi, the beast my brother gave his life to capture, and I fought Hashirama, and lost. My brother's legacy was stolen from me, and I was left for dead, but I survived. I trained, prepared, planned, waited for the day when Konoha will finally burn, and out of the ashes, I will one day create a paradise. The demon vessel felt as if he had been struck by a lightning bolt. This man tamed the Kyuubi. My mother was the former Jinchuriki of the Fox. She died the night of my birth. A few astray memories rushed through his mind. She was my container in this world too, before someone ripped her seal and mind-controlled me into attacking Konoha. Together, we can achieve this vision. My original plan was small-scaled, but with your power, we can gather the bright, the strong, the talented, and conquer all universes. We can get back at Konoha everywhere. Alone, none of us can destroy this cursed village, but together, we will be unstoppable. We will be gods. The day of Naruko's birth, a man named Madara Uchiha took her hostage and extracted me from Kushina, killing her in the process. The teenager couldn't answer. He opened his mouth. Tsukiyomi, you are the one that unleashed the Kyuubi on Konoha, aren't you? Madara's eyes widened, confirming Kazama's theory. I don't see what you are talking about, he lied. You extracted the Kyuubi from my mother, the blonde stated. Something in the back of his mind was convinced of that. You killed her, and you ruined my life. Chakra exuded from his body, without his mental command. It's a lie, Madara said. Whoever told you that is a liar. Kushina's seal simply malfunctioned. It was an accident. Kazama's chakra separated from him, and fused with the illusion. The decor changed, much to Madara's obvious surprise. The duel was now on a mountain. Madara was dragging a beautiful, red-headed woman by the shirt, before facing the town in front on them, Konoha. He touched the woman's belly, opening a hole in it. The Kyuubi escaped from it, his eyes looking like 2 Sharingan. What is this fantasy? Madara roared before locking eyes with the blonde. Don't believe these lies. It is probably a trick from the Kyuubi to manipulate you. You do not tell the truth. Kazama replied. I simply know it, he straightened. You want manipulate me, Trito. The blonde didn't finish his sentence, and scoffed instead. A strong hand grabbed his neck, before lifting him. Do not ever call me that, Naruto-san, Tsukiyomi murmured. The teenager didn't answer, or rather couldn't. Yes, Madara said. Yes, I unleashed the Kyuubi on Konoha. Yes, I extracted the demon from your mother, after she refused my proposition of alliance. But I didn't kill your mother, or your father, for the matter. The Kyuubi did, once your father freed him from my control. I am not responsible for what happened to your parents, the fox is. He approached Kazama's head from his own. It was for your own good, so you could have a future. Had your father not intervened, I would have taken you with me, and helped you achieve your true potential. If I hadn't intervened, you would have grown up as the son of a Jinchuriki, as hated and despised as you were. You would have been a slave, and I wanted to make you a man. Can you really criticize that? I would have been a better father than your parents could ever be. The teenager spat at the man's mask. You don't believe me? Tsukiyomi asked. I am being honest with you. Your father sealed the Kyuubi in you, instead of simply destroying it. He could have spared you the cruel fate of being a Jinchuriki, but did not. He chose the village above his son, and did so willingly, with the blessing of his wife. He and your mother betrayed you, Naruto-san. I saved you from their influence. This is bullshit. The murderer blinked. Can't you see? Why can't you understand? He seemed absorbed within his thoughts, before gasping. Konoha must have brainwashed you. What? That explains everything. Madara muttered. Why you didn't rebel, why you didn't follow my path, why you still refused to strike back at them. They have brainwashed you, like these creatures from Root. It is the only explanation. This illusion must be one of their failsafe. I will free you from their hold on your mind. His lone Sharingan became completely black, and he whispered something. Mikaboshi. The world was suddenly swallowed by a deep darkness. The red illusion vanished, leaving only emptiness behind. Madara grew, reaching the size of a mountain, and took Kazama within his hands. Let the void consume you, and be reborn anew, the giant whispered. Coming out of nowhere, black threads pierced Kazama's torso, at the heart to be precise. The boy screamed, Do not fear the Mikaboshi, it is simply the sword that will sever all your restraints. Kazama screamed, and the pain stopped. Light leaked from his heart, vaporizing the black threads. A humanoid figure formed appeared. It was a beautiful, thin, and naked woman, composed of pure, azure crystal. It was like an angel. Kushina? Madara muttered, completely shocked. Me! She shouted, as thousands of blue chains formed from her body. They promptly restrained Madara's limbs. Mother? Kazama wondered. I understand. It was your chakra that twisted my jutsu, Tsukiyomi declared. Sorry to disappoint you, but your son will be mine, and mine alone. No! The angel spat. I won't let you corrupt him. The Mikaboshi is already within him, despite your efforts, Madara gloated. The seed of the Uchiha will grow slowly, and one day he will forsake your crappy will of fire, and choose my path instead. My son is strong! She yelled. Strong enough to resist your curse. The chains tightened, crushing the giant Uchiha, who then exploded in a flash of light. The darkness faded away, and Kazama awakened. Kakashi, finally punching the clone in the face, Kakashi grinned mirthfully as he popped up into a cloud of smoke. Gathering all his strengths, the Jounin rushed at Kazama's side. The blonde was apparently in trance, his body protected by chains of blue chakra. Has he awakened his bloodline? The man wondered. Madara Uchiha was holding his head with his hand, right in front of Kazama. Kushina, cursed Spitfire, the ninja was gibbering to himself. Seizing the occasion, Kakashi charged at his enemy, the Chidori forming inside his fist. Even in his confusion, Tsukiyomi was still fast enough to deviate the blow, by seizing Kakashi's arm and directing it away from his heart. It's not nice to attack someone from behind. His lone Sharingan met Kakashi's own. The gray-haired ninja had left reality for a red room, a perfect illusion of his home. The Jounin's limbs were chained, and he couldn't move any. In front of him, his father, Tsukumo Hatake, was laying on his blood, his sword impaled through his belly. Father? The scene changed. He was now in a cave, witnessing a younger himself fighting side by side with Obito and Rin. Kakashi realized what Madara had in mind. No. Everything but that. Please don't. Rocks began to fall. Please no, and crushed Obito. The scene changed again. It was now Konoha, and he saw his younger self watch helplessly the Shinigami taking Minato's soul. Sensei, Both Kakashi shouted. The scene changed again. He was now in a deserted house, one that he knew too much. Madara, he supplicated. Please, don't show me that. I want to survive this. His prayers were ignored, as he saw his younger self cradling the love of his life. Rin was a horror. She didn't look human anymore. She was dead. She begged me to stop, her murderer gloated. She begged for my forgiveness, when my men forced her to watch as I strangled her son to death. Was it yours? He had your eye color, after all. Anyway, after your child died at the ripe old age of 1 week, I took care of his mother. I have to admit it, your girlfriend was a beautiful woman. You have good tastes, Kakashi-kun. My soldiers were lusting after her, but, in my great generosity, I prevented them from violating her. I had something far better in mind. The monster smirked, showing Kakashi his bloody kunai and torture instruments. Please, Kakashi begged. I can't support to relive this memory. It's incredible, the resistance of the human body. It never ceases to amaze me. She screamed your name, you know, screamed Kakashi, as if you were going to show up and save her. But nobody came, so she kept shouting. It was annoying. You know the old proverb, before you speak, turn your tongue 7 times in your mouth? Well, I took it literally. I kept her alive, chained, bleeding, and then I went all out on her. You see, I am a professional, so I couldn't resist trying new techniques. I cut, slashed, burned, broke, skinned, and all the time, I whispered to her these few words, Kakashi Hatake has abandoned you. Please! Kakashi screamed. She was my masterpiece, the torturer continued with a sadistic grin. I fashioned the best of all prisons, a body. Imagine yourself, just 1 second, in her place, suffering all days, unable to communicate with the outside world, for a whole week. Isn't that glorious? All of that because you failed to save her, as you failed to save anyone. You killed your son, and you killed your lover. The younger Kakashi sobbed, before madly attacking his lover's murderer. The older one screamed, and his Sharingan twisted, transformed. The illusion was shattered, and the world returned to normal. Impressive, Madara murmured. To awaken the Mangekyo with memories only, you are truly worthy of the title of genius, Hatake Kakashi. The Jonin didn't reply anything for a while. His new Sharingan was simply blazing with fury. Do you have any idea of what you did to me? He charged at his enemy with rage and hatred in his heart and voice. I awakened your potential, the man calmly answered, as he paired Kakashi's blows. I have made you stronger, as I will make Naruto-sen more powerful than ever before. I won't let you touch him, the Jonin yelled, as he pushed back the Uchiha with a violent kick. I won't let you twist him. Then you will have to defeat me, Tsukiyomi stated, as he teleported away. An impossible task. There is no such a thing as the impossible, Kakashi shouted. His Sharingan instinctively activated, unleashing black fire upon Madara. I will prove it today. A black hole formed in Tsukiyomi's eye, absorbing the attack. At this moment, blue chains grabbed the masked man, flinging him in the air. Kazama had awakened, and he was angry. Kakashi-san, you have no idea how much you are right. He locked eyes with the Jonin before gasping. Your eye, it's an upgrade. I think, Kakashi said. And your chains? I don't know, Kazama said. I don't control them. My wounds are healing fast, however. I think it's linked to my mother. Kushina? The Jonin asked before frowning. We will have to talk, after we escape this place, of course. Kazama smirked, as his eyes drifted to Madara, who was standing on a pillar far, far away. Together we can beat him, Kakashi nodded. Let's teach him a lesson. The war fox, Kitsune, Kisame, a furious Zabuza leaped on the bridge, attempting to kill Amaterasu in one deadly swing. The masked ninja masterfully avoided the attack, retired his sword from Kisame's body, and riposted. The Uchiha warrior began to push his adversary toward the edge of the construction, despite his enemy's enraged moves. Rising up with all the pain in the world, Kitsune walked toward the bleeding Kisame. Samahata was crying next to him. The man locked eyes with the blonde boy. Hello, little fish, Kisame-san. The war fox in human form kneeled beside the dead in waiting. Why did you do that? You knew you couldn't win, the man smiled. Little fish, have you heard what I said? I don't fight to win. I fight for the fight itself. But why? The boy cried. Why? Because there is no meaning in this world, Kisame whispered. Because humanity has no future. I once had an ideal. I wanted to preserve my country, to ameliorate it, but in the end, it was all for naught. I was called a traitor and a monster, by the very people I was trying to help. In the end, goodness isn't rewarded, and evil is not punished. In the end, life isn't worth living, it's only in a battle, where politic goals, names, reputations, are nothing, that all lies disappear. He chuckled. This world of truth. I wanted to witness it once, before dying. That's my way, Kisame cut him off. That's how I lived. Kitsune stayed silent a moment. Kisame-san? I used to think like you, but some things are worth living for. Some people are worth protecting, the missing nin smirked. If that's in what you believe, if humans like you exist, then perhaps there is still hope. After all, Kisame-san, little fish, he whispered. Can you do me a favor, please? Kitsune nodded. Take Samahata with you, the man explained, as he caressed his sword gently. She likes you, and I think you will be a good swordsman one day. I will do it, the boy promised. Kisame closed his eyes. Then I leave at peace. Goodbye, little fish. And he closed his mouth too, never to open it again. Samahata sobbed, and Kitsune stayed silent. Then, his eyes drifted from the dead missing nin to Zabuza and Amaterasu, still locked in their duel. Once again, Madara was clearly dominating the fight. Full of a renewed determination, the blonde rose up and touched Samahata. Let's go. The creature nodded, before swirling around his arm. Kitsune sensed the sword fuse with him, making him double in size, and cover his body with scales. A few seconds later, an orange shark man charged, roaring, at Amaterasu. The man tilted his head toward the incoming hybrid, and blinked as a punch ejected him from the bridge, sending him crashing onto the water. The man dropped his sword in the process. Ignoring a mesmerized Zabuza, Kitsune jumped onto the sea, landing on a shocked Amaterasu. The two descended deeper into the ocean, brawling, exchanging blows. After a few seconds, the masked man vanished, leaving Kitsune alone in the ocean. Then, large chunks of the bridge began to fall into the sea, and the shark man navigated between them, trying to reach the surface. Something, however, caught his attention, an unconscious blonde girl. Naruto? The boy grabbed her, and both got out of the water. Are you alright, Naruko-chan? He asked her. Yeah. I think, she muttered, before realizing she was talking to an orange fish. Kitsune, is that you? It's me, the hybrid confirmed. What's happening? Susanoo is blowing up the construction, she answered. What about that Amaterasu guy? Kitsune didn't reply. He simply stared at something standing on the water. Naruko followed his gaze. Amaterasu was glaring at them, the Kusanagi in his right hand. So Kisame left you his sword. He was an honorable opponent, and I offered him a warrior's death, Madara said. You have his sword, but do you have his resolve? The two blondes put their feet on the water, rising up. He will be avenged, the hybrid declared. I promise it, the masked man chuckled. Revenge, the fuel that bring about all conflicts. He lowered his stance. Show me the power of your hatred. You will see mine first. Zabuza roared, as he leaped on the water. Kitsune eyed the swordsman. Zabuza-san, why not make a truce? We both want revenge for Kisame's death. Why not work together to achieve it? The man glanced at the hybrid. TCH, for now, he said, after a short silence. Very temporarily. Thanks, the boy said before straightening up. Naruko imitated him. Amaterasu didn't move. Come and strike me down, if you can, Sakura. As she saw her crush die before her, Sakura cried. Please, Naruto-kun, wake up, wake up. He didn't respond, his corpse staying lifeless. Wake up. It is useless, the freak said, as he pointed her with his hand's fingers. He is dead as you will soon be. Her eyes could only widen, as 5 bullets were shot at her, and she could only gasp when she saw Sasuke's body taking the attack instead of her own. The boy fell on the ground, next to her. Sasuke-kun? Who else? The genin answered as he got up. Strangely, his shirt had stopped the projectiles. Damn, Chewbacca seals are damn effective. Why did you do that? She asked. I don't know, he said. My body moved on it. The skull flail smashed his head faster than the wind, in a sickening crack. Sakura watched, horrified, as the Uchiha's corpse was ejected from the construction, and fell into the sea. One advice, never ever have any moment of inattention on a battlefield, the freak gloated. You were great, Sakura-chan. Way better than me. If you ever want someone to hear you, I am here. Sakura, I want you to be with me. Anger and sadness overwhelmed Sakura's heart, making it burn with a lust for revenge. Yes, a voice whispered. I can give you the power you need. Let your anger consume you. Her eyes became red, fangs grew. This is the end, the bastard declared, as he pointed his index at her head. Farewell. The bullet was shot, and stopped by a mix of blood and chakra. 6 tails formed on Sakura's back, and her body began to adopt the form of a demonic, incomplete monster. Barely aware of her surroundings, she opened her mouth, unleashing a blast of power at a gasping Kimimaro, vaporizing him in an instant. The ray continued its course, destroying a large part of Wave's landscape. Then, the possessed girl began to seek a new prey, the puppeteer Chibaku. Chibaku was running for his life, as the bridge crumbled. Sasori and that chick, Haku, were following him. Behind them, their enemy was pursuing at an incredible speed. Susanoo was expelling chakra from his feet, a technique that propelled him in the air. Rocks and bricks were floating at his side. Sasori suddenly stopped, rotated, and moved the Sandame Kazekage. Spikes of iron sand shot up, intending on impaling the masked ninja. Susanoo blinked, and the projectiles were repelled. A large rock then hit the human puppet, making it explode into shards. A furious Sasori prepared himself to use his flamethrower, but a flying chunk of the bridge was thrown at him, ejecting him from the unstable construction. Still propelled, Susanoo reached Haku, who tried to protect herself with a shield of ice. The bastard punched it, went through it, and hit the girl in the belly, sending her after Sasori. The masked man landed on his feet, and glared at Chibaku. Instantly, an invisible hand seized the blonde, bringing him to Susanoo's fist. The puppeteer tried to protect himself with his arms, but they were broken on the impact, the Kyuubi's cloak saving his life. He flew in the air, and the invisible force drew him to his enemy, who landed a punch on his head, breaking his jaw. The process repeated on last time, and Susanoo knocked the blonde in the torso, shattering ribs. The next second, Chibaku crashed onto the sea. The Kyuubi's chakra vanished, and he began to sink, until someone grabbed him by the shirt and took him out of the water. You look terrible, pervert, Naruto said. The blonde puppeteer wanted to say something nasty in response, but only succeeded in groaning. The girl put him on her back, and ran, as bricks were raining on them. Sideways, Chibaku saw Zabuza and an orange shark man fighting Amaterasu, and loosing. The masked man looked like a dancer, gracefully sidestepping, fencing, outflanking, cutting through his opponent's skin as if it was butter. The shark was bleeding massively, and Zabuza was barely parrying Madaro's ferocious attacks. Seems that Kitsune and his partner are in trouble, Naruto said, as she rushed at their rescue. The shark is Kitsune? Man, is he a war shark too? What will it be next time? A war monkey form? A war dragon? It would be awesome. Sounds of explosions retired Chibaku from his fantasy. A flying Sasori was trying to incinerate a floating Susanoo, who deflected the fire nonchalantly. The redhead landed next to Naruto, and they were soon joined by a bleeding Haku. He is too strong, the girl stated. We can't even slow him down. He has damaged the bridge's foundations, Sasori noticed. It'll sink in the ocean within the next minutes. He gritted his teeth. Even weakened, he is stronger than us all. Oh yes, I am, Susanoo gloated, as he descended on the water. You cannot defeat us, Amaterasu added proudly, as he jumped to his counterpart's left side. Surrender, or we will kill you. In your dreams, Zabuza growled. Kitsune straightened, and the rest of the group prepared themselves to stand firm for their skin. Then I will add your weapons to my collection, Amaterasu replied. You are all fools, Susanoo shouted, putting his hands together. You can't hope to. The powerful noise of an explosion interrupted him. A ray of light vaporized a large part of the bridge and of waves, and everyone looked at its source. A monstrous red creature, covered with an incomplete skeleton, was roaring at the skies. The Kyuubi had emerged, and it was out for human blood. Chapter 11, The Great Flood. When the incomplete Kyuubi looked down at the humans standing on the sea, Chibaku was fully aware they were all screwed. If his broken jaw had allowed it, he would have said some badass last words, but unfortunately he couldn't. The creature opened its mouth and fired a ray of demonic chakra at them. Quickly, Susanoo put himself between it and its targets. Shinra Tensei. The beam was deflected toward the sun, but the masked man seemed to flinch. I will take care of it, Amaterasu stated, another sword appearing in his hand, replacing the Kusanagi. Susanoo's eyes drifted from the bijou to his counterpart. Are you sure? I tamed this creature once, the man declared, as he teleported on the damaged bridge. I can do it again. The man with the Rinnegan chuckled before rotating. So, he said to his enemies, who want to die first? The traveler, Kazama. Running as fast as he could, Kazama did his best to close the gap between himself and Madara. Kakashi was serving as his long-range cover, shooting fireballs at their masked adversary, who calmly stood, simply absorbing the attacks. When Kazama reached the man, the blue chains on his back sprung, trying to hit Tsukiyomi, who gracefully avoided them, a fact that ticked the blonde off. Why doesn't he turn intangible? A soft, female voice answered his question. The Uzumaki's chakra is so potent it negates his intangibility. Same thing with demonic chakra, the blonde winced. Mom? Is it you? Yes, Kushina answered. It has been a while, Naruto. The last time I saw you, you were almost impaled by an enraged Kyuubi. How is this possible? Engaging his opponent in close combat, the teenager, with the chain's help, was this time able to compete with Madara. Aren't you supposed to be dead? Technically, I am, she confirmed. But before I passed out, your father placed some of my chakra in your seal, to help you when the time for you to confront the Kyuubi and tame it would come. But then, Orochimaru came. If I hadn't been there, you would have been killed, the Kyuubi's chakra consuming your very flesh and soul. If your confused expression and these chains are of any indication, Madara mused, I assume that Kushina is talking to you. He was matching Kazama evenly, even when Kakashi attacked him too, with 2 kunai in his hands. You saved me? The teenager asked his mother, ignoring the masked man. With Minato's help, the ghost affirmed. He had 2 left, a small part of his chakra in the seal. When Orochimaru screwed with it, the Kyuubi's chakra had been cut in half, and the fox's very being with it. To prevent your death, we tried to fix the damaged seal the best we could, by containing the Kyuubi's essence, and we succeeded, sort of, at the cost of Minato's permanent demise. The world jump was a side effect, and a complete accident. I must say that I have never seen something like that before. I think the Shinigami must have one hand in this situation. I mean, perhaps a part of his power was accidentally transferred to the seal when we fixed it. I see, he continued to advance, parrying the Uchiha's punches. Thank you? For saving me, I mean, I am your mother. It's natural. I have been unable to protect you all your life, and now that I can, don't listen to anything she says, Madara counseled him. She is trying to manipulate you, to twist you. She is a liar, a selfish woman whose only objective is to make you Konoha's slave. Shut your mouth! Kazama snarled, as the chains knocked the man's mask, making it crack a bit. It barely fazed Tsukiyomi, who continued to counter the blonde and Kakashi's strikes. You have lied to me, ruined my life, and you think I'm going to listen to you? I am only trying to protect you, the SS-rank ninja whispered. Kushina is the one that cursed you. She sealed the Kyuubi in you, instead of destroying it. Minato and his wife sacrificed you willingly. Nothing will change that. Ever. You're a liar! The blonde declared. As always, you lie. No, Kushina's voice countered. He isn't. The teenager stopped moving. What did you just say? Madara lies as easily as he breathes, but for once, he's saying the truth. Naruto, it's because of us you suffered so much, and we are sorry for it, she muttered sadly. The ninja didn't say anything, didn't do anything, even as Tsukiyomi assaulted Kakashi. You sealed the fox in me willingly? You had a choice? I wanted to drag the Kyuubi to the underworld with me, Kushina explained, but your father wanted you to be a Jinchuriki. Without a demon vessel, Konoha would have been the prey of the other nations, and you were the child of the prophecy. He blinked, gritting his teeth. What the hell are you talking about? You are holding another secret from me, once again? I have enough of them. Answer me. Kushina mentally winced at his harsh and angry tone. The great Toad Sage foresaw that one of Jiraiya's students would bring a revolution to the ninja world, one that would either be its salvation or destruction. Minato thought he was this child at first, but the day of your birth, he realized that, maybe, you were the chosen one. Hatred overwhelmed the blonde's heart, like a flood. So, let me get this straight. You condemned me to a life of loneliness, despair, and suffering simply because some freaking senile amphibian told you that I might be some kind of messiah? And you did so without remorse? He couldn't believe his own ears, or rather, mind. This couldn't be the truth, and yet it was. I am simply a tool for you and father, am I not? It's wrong! Kushina shouted. It was an agonizing decision, but the village's safety need. I spit on this hellhole. He roared. They abused me, in all universes. They are bastards, and didn't deserve to be saved. You could have sealed the Kyuubi within an object, like the Shikaku. But no, a human weapon was worth the sacrifice of your son. The chains darkened, and a strange sound resonated in Kazama's mind, like a mechanical squeak. It's the Amatsumi Kaboshi. Kushina whispered. Please, son, don't let your anger control you. It's feeding the cur. Shut up. Shut the hell up. His mother wanted to retort something, but a deep noise masked the sound of her voice. Instead, Kazama only listened to whispers. You shouldn't have been born, cursed child. Get out of my shop. It's twice the price for you. You deserve it. Naruto-kun, who would want to adopt you? Who would want to adopt a monster like you? Son, get away from this kid. He's dangerous. He only deserves your scorn. You're punished, because you are a bad kid and will always be one. You do not deserve to live. You must be executed, for the good of everyone. The memories were building his hatred, and the blonde was feeling cold and empty, alone and miserable. Kushina's voice was now a muffled echo, weakening with each passing second. Images of her and Minato formed in his mind, like troubled memories. They were smiling at him, as they sealed the Kyuubi within his belly. They were happy to destroy his life, and left him alone in a cruel world. They had chosen the village over him. They had sacrificed him without his accord, used and discarded him. They have betrayed me the moment I was born, Kazama realized, as the deep noise became stronger and stronger. They never loved me. Like Gaara's parents, they only loved the weapon they created. The images changed. The teenager was in Konoha, before a crowd. People were glaring at him, children and adults, ninjas and civilians alike, united in their distrust and malevolence. They all hate me, he thought. I don't want to help them. I only want to punish them all. I only want justice to be done. Returning to reality, the blonde looked up at Madara, kept away from him by Kakashi. I should join him. He is like me. He is what I can be, with the right guidance. With his hell, pain raced through his brain, and Kazama held his head with his hands. The noise was becoming worse and worse. He relived Tsukiyomi's speeches again and again, saw him kill his mother repeatedly, until he regained his reason. What am I thinking? He wondered. He hurt me. He's as responsible for my crappy life as my parents are. Why should I ally myself with one of my tormentors? He must pay for what he has done to me and my family. The blonde's eyes were radiating with a cold fury. I will kill him here and now. Kushina's shouts were now mere murmurs, muzzled by dark thoughts and whispers. Her chains were darkening slowly, corrupted by Kazama's own chakra. A few seconds later, he couldn't even hear her anymore. Only the hatred remained in his mind. Kushina straightened, facing the growing darkness. You want to prevent me from helping my son? She shouted angrily. A maleficent chakra was corroding her own, trying to absorb her completely. If the situation continued, the dark would assimilate her energy completely, and use it to increase Naruto's power, but not before corrupting her gift completely. A black smoke got out of the shadows, taking a humanoid shape. Two red eyes were glittering malevolently, glaring at Kushina. The Uzumaki felt her very soul being pierced, dissected, analyzed, by the living embodiment of the Mikaboshi curse. The woman knew she was facing something older than humanity itself, a force beyond her comprehension. He doesn't need your love and apologizes, a cold, mechanical voice declared. She had the impression of listening to death itself. Only your power is necessary. He doesn't need you. He only needs his hatred, wrath, and pride. It is only with them that he shall truly reach perfection. That's bullshit. She hissed. That is the truth. Only in emptiness power lies. The void of the Amatsumi Kaboshi will purify him from his earthly limitations and give him the power to accomplish all his desires. You are only an obstacle, a fetter. For your son's own good, you must be removed. Black tentacles shot out from the shadows, hitting a shield of light protecting Kushina. I won't be so easy to defeat. She had to destroy this abomination before it turned her son into a monster. On the contrary, it replied, you will fall before oblivion, like countless before you. I am a human. I feel love and emotions. A monstrosity like you will never be able to understand that it is what makes us strong. There is no need to understand. Knowing is enough, the incarnation of the Mikaboshi replied. Love is weak. As weak as you are. The tentacles pierced the shield, before impaling a surprised Kushina. Coldness filled her heart, and she lost control of her limbs. In this place are kept the feelings of a lifetime, the curse whispered. The repressed rage, the silent hate, the unpolished pride, the forgotten desires, the hidden despair, the chained lust for power, they are all stocked in this unconscious realm, and they are feeding me, strengthening me, and him. I am his true self, and the harbinger of his will. He wants you to vanish. No. No! the woman thought, as her chakra began to be consumed by the curse. Naruto, return to the afterlife, the Mikaboshi ordered. Remain dust, Uzumaki Kushina. The woman vanished, sensing death coming for her at last. Kakashi, Madara's eyes were glittering with joy, as he observed Kazama's blue chains turning black, much to Kakashi's amazement. So even Kushina has been devoured by it, the masked man muttered to himself. It's even more powerful than I thought. This boy's repressed sentiments are fueling it already, it's beautiful. I can't wait to see how he will evolve. Kakashi had no idea of what was his enemy gibbering about, and didn't have the desire to understand. He had recognized an opportunity to strike, and seized it. Unfortunately, his kunai simply went through Madara, as if he was a ghost. The man's lone Sharingan winked. You still haven't understood the lesson? He asked, as if he was talking to a child. I am a slow learner, the Jounin deadpanned. Especially after someone violated my mind in the worst manner possible. His weapon slashed the air in vain. I didn't do anything, Tsukiyomi stated. I simply placed you, Kakashi-san, under a genjutsu powered by your memories. I don't know what you would see, but it is your mind, not mine, that showed you that. This torture was self-inflicted. Kakashi's eyes flared with fury. You showed Rin's death by accident, unintentionally? You used this genjutsu without being aware what I would see? You forced me to relive the worst memory of my life casually? Well, basically, yes. Madara vanished, reappearing behind Kakashi. His intangible hand traveled through the ninja's torso, before grabbing the Jounin's face and unleashing an electric shock. The attack stunned him, allowing Madara to make him fall on the ground. But from what I have pieced together, the bastard stated, you have failed to protect all the people you cared about, and have a lot of issues about it. He narrowed his head. Your loved ones must have suffered a lot, but you know. I can bring them back. Kakashi's answer was a punch in Madara's face, through Madara's face, more exactly. I told you it was. Black chains whipped his left side, sending him fly away. Kakashi got up, and locked eyes with Kazama, who was glaring hatefully at Tsukiyomi. Kakashi-san, the blonde trailed off. Do you have enough chakra to use the black flames again? The man nodded. Seeing the teenager's dark expression, Madara was going to regret crossing his path. Good. Here is the plan. Naruto. The battle wasn't going well. For them. Water release, stormy blockade. Hundreds of Naruto shouted at the same time. A huge tidal wave rushed towards Susanoo, who raised his arms, stopping it. Kitsun's hand emerged from the stop tsunami, intent on grabbing the Uchiha's head and crushing it. The SS-rank ninja easily deflected the blow, and poked the shark man's nose with his index finger. Naruto's hybrid counterpart was projected at the bridge, making a large chunk of it fall on him. The Uchiha made things worse by covering the war-shark with debris, burying him under them. Zabuza and two of his clones of water jumped out of the sea, around Susanoo. Water prison! The Uchiha was suddenly imprisoned inside of a sphere of liquid, but didn't seem surprised. Haku leaped before the prison and touched it with her palms, transforming it into an iceberg that lasted 3 seconds. The sphere exploded, expelling shards in all directions. They destroyed Zabuza's copies, and grazed his and Haku's skin. The two retreated as fast as they could, and Naruto's clones charged at a standing Susanoo. The man lowered his stance, unfazed. Madara's vicious fist, the 108 deaths. His palms were loaded with chakra, and he began to make his way through the copies, toward the real Naruto, who was standing on the sidelines, holding Chibaku on her back. As smoke and her double's memories indicated the blonde girl where Susanoo was, who was very close, she leapt backward, barely preventing the Uchiha's fingers from connecting with her torso. Unfortunately, she simply delayed the inevitable, as her enemy jumped at her pursuit and attacked her in the air. The surge of pain almost made her pass out, as her enemy struck her limbs, ribcage and shoulders 30 times in 3 seconds. She lost control of her body, ceasing to feel it, and coughed blood. The blonde girl and her living package landed on the water, before being lifted above it by Susanoo's hands. I learned that by penetrating the mind of a Hyuga, the man gloated. Normally it's lethal, but since you only received a third of my blows, well, at least you will be able to watch as I strangle you to death. He added axe to words, tightening his hold on the children's neck, making them scoff. That's your fate for harming me, Madara said, as Naruto's sight blurred. You fought well, I will give you that, but that was not enough. No Kyuubi will help you this time. Any last words? She spat at his mask, making the Uchiha glare. It became even more difficult to breathe. 2 spears impaled the bastard, forcing him to release his victims as he was pushed away by the duo wielding these weapons. Two men grabbed Naruto and Chibaku before flying in the air. Glancing sideways, the blonde girl realized their saviors were not humans, but puppets. Dozens of them were floating in the skies, next to a flying Sasori. Susanoo demolished his mechanical attackers with two swift moves of his palms, and eyed the dummy's army. White blood was dripping from his wounds, which were healing at an incredible speed. Kabuto's regeneration technique, the red-headed puppeteer muttered to himself with a disgusted tone. This might prove to be complicated to kill him. Naruto realized she had just heard the understatement of the century. But since he can't absorb my puppets anymore, the dummies descended upon Susanoo, their blades unsheathed. The warrior Amaterasu. The advantage with fighting Bijou was that they were stupid. Well, no, not really stupid, but rather very unskilled. They didn't have anything like tactics and strategy, or techniques and precision. Only incredible amount of strength and firepower. Jinchuriki were extremely dangerous because they combined their demon's force with human skill, for a truly deadly result. But when possessed by their inner monster, they simply ravaged their surroundings, unless the Bijou was focused on a particular task, like trying to kill Madara. His ultimate shield, the Mirror of Yada, stopped thousands of chakra blasts, barely phasing the man. His weapons all vanished, returning to his dimensional armory, and the ninja tightened his hold on the Hiramakiri. Madara teleported right in front of the possessed Jinchuriki, and hit him on the skull, demolishing it. It quickly reformed, and the creature attempted to slash him with his claws. The Uchiha absent-mindedly deflected the blow with the mirror, before kicking the beast between its legs, sending it flying in the air. "Storm of blades!" he shouted, as a gate to his pocket reality opened above the Kyuubi. Hundreds of swords and weapons promptly descended upon his enemy, some of them cutting through the Jinchuriki's cloak of chakra like butter. Jumping, Madara swirled on himself, and the Hiramakiri impacted on his adversary's ribcage. The shock propelled it in the island's forest like a cannonball. Teleporting again, this time above the wounded and stunned creature, Madara switched blade, replacing his current one with Samahata. Leaping on the ground, the warrior moved his sword at high speed, slashing the beast 10 times in a row, slowly absorbing the demonic chakra, until he saw the vessel's body. It was the pink-haired girl he saw briefly at the bridge, or rather, it had been a girl. He was now looking at a woman in her 30s, aging rapidly as the Kyuubi's power destroyed and regenerated her body in quick succession. It was obvious that without the Uzumaki's special chakra, she couldn't properly hold her demon's energy. She was slowly dying, a few more minutes supporting multiple tails, and this girl would die of old age, and her bijou along with her. Despite Madara's best efforts, the red chakra recovered the vessel again, twisting into the organs of the Kyuubi. Samahata couldn't hold all of the demon's power, and was in the middle of an indigestion. As muscles began to grow, Madara switched weapon again, taking his gourd this time. He unsheathed a spectral blade, the ethereal Tatsuka sword, and stabbed the incomplete Kyuubi with it. The creature was immediately swallowed by the gourd, roaring and barking madly. Once the creature had fully vanished in the container, Madara closed it, having added a new trophy to his vast collection. The victim, Sakura. Sakura was in a dark sewer. Her surroundings were black, and she was facing a giant cage. Her eyes were as red as blood. A gigantic fox was gazing at her from behind the bars. "I can make your pain stop, little girl," it promised. "I can destroy everything that made you suffer. Konoha, your enemies, humanity, everything." It pointed a sheet of paper with one of his claw. "Just rip this seal, and the pain will disappear. Forever." The genin approached, touched the paper, and a strong hand prevented her from obeying the fox's command. A blond man wearing the Hokage's robes, looking like the Yondaime Hokage, locked eyes with Sakura. "Hello, young girl." "Minato!" The Kyuubi roared and raged. "You are the Yondaime?" Sakura asked, astonished. Her eyes had regained their original color. The blond man nodded. "I am Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. Nice to meet you." "This is the person that ruined my life," the genin thought. "How can you be here? You are supposed to be dead." Minato smiled sadly. "Unfortunately, but before the Shinigami took me, I implemented a fail-safe in your seal, to help you should the Kyuubi ever try to make you rip it," Sakura cried. Why did you have to create this thing in the first place?" she asked with a sob. Grief spread over the Yondaime's face. "Madara Uchiha, the enemy you are currently fighting against, attacked Konoha, and unleashed the Kyuubi on it. I wanted to seal it in Naruto, who was better adapted than you, but Madara interrupted me, kidnapping him. He challenged me in the streets to a duel for the life of my son, which I won. I thought he had died, but apparently he has found a way to survive. But the Kyuubi went on a rampage without him, and needed to be sealed as fast as I could, or else the whole village would have been destroyed. You were the closest child to me when I began to seal the bijou, and Naruto had been accidentally taken away by one of my soldiers. It was simply bad luck. The girl gritted her teeth. Bad luck? She repeated. Bad luck? My life has been ruined by accident. Sakura, shut up! She yelled. Because of you, Mom died. She has been murdered because of you. This cursed village you were trying to save destroyed her, and destroyed me. The girl stared at the Kyuubi. But now, I know how to make them pay. Sakura, don't believe him! The yondaime shouted, when he realized what she intended to do. Its power will destroy you as well. It's a Faustian deal. I don't care, she answered. Now that Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun are dead, nothing matters anymore. I have lost everything I lived for. I can't support this any longer. I will take them all along with me, all of them will feel my pain and loneliness. Sakura. She ignored him, and ripped the seal apart. The Kyuubi grinned ear to ear, violently opening his prison's gates, crushing the yondaime under his paw in the process. Yes! It shouted happily, before gazing at Sakura. Now, together, let's make the world burn. Crimson energy filled the sewer, consuming her mind and body. Become part of me! The creature roared, as the red chakra absorbed her consciousness into itself. Become part of the blight of the gods, the warrior Amaterasu. When the gourd began to vibrate, Madara realized something was wrong. Very wrong. What the? Suddenly, the object exploded, unleashing a wave of demonic chakra. The power burned his skin, his flesh, and his bones. Before dying, he saw the Kyuubi being reborn, roaring madly at the skies. But to kill Madara Uchiha, even a bijou wasn't enough. One of Izuna's eyes closed forever, sacrificed to fuel the Izanagi. Madara teleported on the top of a tree, 1 kilometer away from the Kyuubi. The beast had fully emerged, its 9 tails smashing the forest nearby. The creature glared hatefully at Amaterasu, who snorted, defying the Kyuubi by moving his palm. Bring it on! Faster than the wind, the Kyuubi charged at the Uchiha, who teleported above the creature's snout, the Hiramikari in hands. The chakra hammer hit the beast's muzzle, making the great fox stagger. Madara tried to use the opportunity to brainwash the bijou, who closed its eyes. 1 tail smashed Amaterasu, sending him crash on the ground. His armor and enhanced body saved him from death, and he difficultly rose up, just in time to see a ray of light coming at him. Quickly, the Uchiha Lord protected himself with the Mirror of Yada. He resisted the blast, even as the land melted around him, but when the attack ceased, his shield was damaged beyond recognition. He dropped the now useless object on the ground. Okay, for destroying 2 of my trophies, and 1 of my dear brother's gift. I will kill you! He shouted to the demon. The Kyuubi laughed, opening his muzzle to fire a sphere of chakra. Teleporting 2 kilometers away to shield himself from the devastating explosion, Madara decided to test his anti-bijou jutsu. I'm probably going to lose another eye, the ninja mused inwardly, but it's that or death. I hope you are seeing this, Izuna, through my gaze. This spectacular victory I dedicate it to you, my brother! Gate of opening, open. As chakra raced through his veins, Madara ran toward the Kyuubi, racing like never before. Gate of healing, open. His 5 hearts, result of the earth grudge fear he had taken from Kakuzu's dead body long ago, pulsed, multiplying the amount of chakra, and the damage he would inflict. Gate of life, open. He outran a chakra menacing ball, which pulverized a large part of the island. Gate of pain, open. His armor began to melt, his chakra becoming like fire. Gate of limit, open. He reached the Kyuubi, jumped under him, and punched it in the belly. The creature was sent flying in the air at the speed of the sound. Gate of view, open. He teleported in the skies, right above the incoming animal. Gate of wonder, open. As his flesh burned, Amaterasu kicked the flying Kyuubi. The shock made the beast crash on the island, creating an earthquake. The creature was broken, shattered, but began to reform. Seeing this, Madara left himself to fall, spinning on himself. And now, the killing blow. Gate of death, open. His 5 hearts pumped so fast he couldn't even listen to their pulse. His flesh was incinerated, his bones began to crack, and his whole body became one projectile of chakra. Madara had transcended the limits of mankind. He was now a bijou. Hachiman. At the speed of the sound, he hit the Kyuubi with the power of a meteor, or rather, the strength of a deity. 1 second, the world stopped moving. Tsunami was holding her son, Inari, in her arms, Tazuna putting his palm on her shoulder. They were horrified, staring terrified at the falling star. The inhabitants of Waves didn't move, even as it became painfully obvious death was coming for them all. Despair had triumphed over hope and survival instincts. Some tried to flee, but even they knew it was useless. Gato squealed, hiding behind his small army of mercenaries. They were standing next to the destroyed bridge, and were staring at the skies with fear and horror in their eyes. They had intended to kill Zabuza's band and the ninjas of Konoha, but now, they were watching the apocalypse. When the falling light collided with the gigantic fox, everyone blinked. 1 second later, a gigantic explosion shattered the island, unleashing an almighty blast and a big bang. Life was instantly vaporized, rocks were reduced to dust, and everything sank into the sea. In an instant, the land of Waves was no more. The traveler, Kazama, his his chains formed a shield before him, protecting the blonde from a blue fireball. Kazama counterattacked with the cold wave, but Madara didn't even bother to move, simply absorbing the gale of wind. The teenager charged, leaving a focused Kakashi behind. The blonde attempted to punch Tsukiyomi, who jumped to the side. "I already told you it was useless," the Uchiha whispered. "You aren't on my level. Then why are you fleeing?" The blonde shot back. Madara snorted, and stopped an incoming kick with his palm. "To leave you the illusion of a chance," he replied, before intercepting a punch. The chains sprung at the blonde's command, swirled around the man's arm, and seized it. The Uchiha didn't seem surprised. Instead, his hand reached Kazama's neck, lifting the boy above the ground. The chains restrained Madara's arm, and continued their course toward his face. The ninja's second hand caught them, and casually shattered them with a swift move of the fingers. "What are you preparing, my friend?" he wondered. "Do you plan to strangle me to death?" "I'm afraid to say that, but it's not possible. As you can see, I can break these restraints, as I broke yours," Kazama smirked. "Perhaps, but will you be able to do it in time?" A gray-haired man jumped behind him, one of his eyes bleeding profusely. "Amaterasu," Madara blinked, and attempted to free his captured arm, but Kakashi's black fire already incinerated it, before spreading over the rest of the body. The chains vanished, and Kazama stepped back, as the Uchiha grunted out of pain. He became ashes. Kazama landed on the sea's surface, Kakashi next to him. Rising up, both realized they had left Tsukiyomi's pocket dimension for the land of Waves. Water hit the two ninjas, sinking them under the ocean. They struggled, but the stream was too strong. They were pushed in all directions like rag dolls, before two powerful hands grabbed them by the collar and pulled them out of the sea. The blonde locked eyes with his savior. "I underestimated the two of you," Tsukiyomi declared, as he lifted Kazama and Kakashi above the wild ocean. "But now it is the end." He vanished, avoiding a scythe thrown at him. Two puppets caught the ninjas, and brought them to a flying Sasori. Others dummies were carrying a wounded Haku, an unconscious Naruto, and an immobile Chibaku. Below them, dozens of puppets were fighting Susanoo alongside an orange shark man and Zabuza, among the furious waves. Kazama's eyes widened in horror. The island was sinking. Its fragments were crumbling into the ocean, shattered by tsunamis, and the great bridge had disappeared, reduced to floating rocks and wood. Large clouds of dust and ashes were darkening the skies, remnants of the now dead land of Waves. Susanoo was pushing back the furious water with an invisible force, while shooting rays of light at his enemies. The teenager shed a tear when he realized there was no way anyone on the island could have survived such cataclysm. Tsunami, Inari, Tazuna, were dead. The memories of the clones he had left around their house only confirmed his suspicions. What happened? The blonde wondered. The memories only showed him a falling star and a flash of light. The Kyuubi broke its seal, Sasori explained. But Amaterasu was too strong. I don't know what kind of technique he used, but it killed the Bijou. Not stunned, killed. As you can see, this jutsu was powerful enough to destroy the land of Waves. I doubt the Uchiha survived it, Kakashi gasped. Sakura is dead? He sobbed. Sasori regretfully nodded. And Naruto? Sasuke? The red-headed puppeteer's expression darkened. Two puppets came closer to the gray-haired jounin, each holding a human, or rather, two badly damaged corpses. Kazama's eyes widened in horror as he recognized the clothes of these two cadavers. No! Kakashi shouted, as tears rolled from his eyes. No, I am sorry, Sasori stated. I found them floating on the sea, The second hunter probably killed them. The Jounin didn't answer. His gaze became hollow, and his expression lifeless. He seemed enthralled by a genjutsu, unable to interact with his surroundings. Kazama gritted his teeth. It was really a bad time to become catatonic, Naruto-san. Sasori muttered. What are these chains on your back? The blonde smirked. My power, the Uzumaki's power, the puppeteer blinked. Why are they black? He asked. Although chakra was normally blue, the teenager lifted his shoulders. I don't know. It must be a normal feature for the Uzumaki. His ally seemed ready to reply something, but instead eyed the fight below when the sound of bones breaking reached his ears. Kazama imitated him, and paled. Amaterasu had come at his counterpart's help, the hybrid Kitsune, Zabuza riding on his back. Kitsune swam like a missile toward Susanoo, trapped between them and a tidal wave, which he was pushing back with his gravity power. He was projecting beams at the duo and at the flying puppets, missing the firsts and destroying the seconds en masse. You're sure you can kill him? The shark man asked to his rider. Not to be pessimistic, but we probably won't have a second chance, the missing nin sneezed. One slash of my sword is a killing blow. At this speed, he won't be able to avoid it. They made their way towards Susanoo, and someone appeared right in front of them. 1 instant later, a hammer hit Zabuza, making his ribs break with a sickening crack. At the same time, a blade sliced Kitsune's throat. The swordsman from Mist fell backward, and the hybrid stopped moving, holding his bleeding neck. He sensed Samehada's suffering in the back of his mind, and in less than 1 minute, their fusion ended. Kitsune found himself holding his healed throat, while a wounded sword convulsed next to him. In front of them, Amaterasu was standing, 2 strange blades in hand. His eyes were white, but apparently, he was fully aware of the blonde's location. Long time no see, little boy. You're still alive? Susanoo asked, amazed. The second Madara nodded. I have lost my brother's eyes in the process, and 2 of my trophies, but I survived my fight with the Kyuubi, he confirmed, putting his foot on Kitsune's head. My body hurts like hell, but it was worth it. It was quite the jutsu you used, Susanoo agreed. He noticed the third Madara coming at them, dragging an immobile Zabuza by the collar. You seem unhappy. I have been forced to use the Izanagi too, Tsukiyomi stated. But with my Sharingan reserve, it was a small price to pay to survive. Our enemies have grown stronger. Susanoo's eyes widened. Watch OU. Dozens of black chains descended upon the trio, who teleported away. The string seized Kitsune, Samehada and Zabuza, before lifting them above the ocean before they could be crushed by the unstopped tidal wave. 1 instant later, they were next to Kazama. Can you transport us all? Sasori asked, observing the 3 Uchiha reappearing on the ruins of the Great Bridge. I will try, the teenager answered. Light emanated from him. 1 second later, they had left the sea for a green, grassy plain. The destroyer, Susanoo. As he saw their enemies vanishing from the surface of this world, Susanoo cursed. Crap, Tsukiyomi shrugged. It's a mere inconvenience, he stated. We can pursue them. Amaterasu shook his head. Without the Sharingan, I can't twist space. I need to replace Izuna's eyes before we continue. I don't know what they have done to me, Susanoo added, but my chakra control is screwed, for now. I can't tear apart reality without it. Safely, I mean. Tsukiyomi blinked. So it's a setback, he declared, before gazing at Amaterasu. I have almost 100 backup Sharingan. He took off his sleeve, revealing the multiple eyes implanted on it. Which do you want? Fugaku's? Good for taijutsu, rather generalist. Mikoto's? Excellent at long distance and ninjutsu. Shiji's? Highly efficient for genjutsu and flawless at close range. The blind warrior's wide eyes stared at his counterpart. It's a generous offer, but I prefer to rely on myself, he declared. It's about principles. You are going to stay like that? Susanoo wondered, astonished. Of course not, his double replied. After killing Itachi, I took a trophy, his light. A bottle appeared in between his fingers. 2 Sharingan were floating in it, kept intact by a strange liquid. If you could implement them. No problem, Tsukiyomi said, as they teleported to a place more calm. We will chase them after both of you recovered. The traveler, Kazama, carrying Naruto on his back. Again, Kazama blinked. Can you repeat, please? I have lost the Sandaime Kazekage, and 3/4 of my puppets, Sasori said. Basically, most of my arsenal. Naruto and Chibaku are in such a bad state they will need a very, very good healer if they ever want to fully recover. Kakashi needs a lot of rest. He looked at Haku, who was helping her master walk. The girl frowned. I am only a novice at medicine, Sasori-san. I am not competent enough to help people so much wounded. The redhead gritted his teeth. His strength, coming from his artificial body, allowed him to carry both Kakashi and Chibaku with little trouble. If I'm not wrong, this road leads to Aguni, a city of medium size. Maybe we will find someone competent there, even if our chances are slim. I hope so, Kitsun said. Samahata was resting on his back. He seemed sad. It's because of me they are like this. If I had been stronger. Kazama stopped walking, and locked eyes with his younger self. Kitsune, you have done what you could. It's because of me Kisame-san is dead. The boy snapped. Samahata explained me why he really had defied Amaterasu, even if he knew he would die. He tried to save me, to give me time. He began to cry. If I had been more powerful, he wouldn't have sacrificed himself. There was a short silence. Brat. Zabuza growled. Ever since our coup has failed, Kisame had lost the will to live. He was always pushing himself on the verge of death, putting his life on the line. He decided his own fate, willingly. Saying the contrary is an insult to his memory. Haku reached the blond boy and put a hand on his shoulder. Kitsune-san. Kisame chose his death. Even if you had been stronger, Amaterasu would have probably killed him anyway. This man killed a bijou, Kazama continued. He put down the strongest demon of all times, the freaking Kyuubi. After murdering an S-rank ninja and fighting multiple enemies. And he still had the strength to defeat you and Zabuza in one strike, while blinded. The missing nin visibly stiffened at that. Do you seriously think you could have done anything to him? Kitsune opened his mouth, and closed it. No, this battle was doomed from the start, Sasori concurred. We merely delayed our defeat. These three really are SS rank ninjas. Haku locked eyes with the redhead. What is exactly a SS rank? I thought S rank was the biggest class possible. The SS rank class was created during the Third Great Shinobi War, Sasori explained. It was awarded to the Yondaime Hokage by his enemies, after he destroyed an entire invasion force by himself and defeated multiple bijou and Jinchuriki. Basically, an SS rank ninja is a human bijou, a one-man army. Zabuza stared darkly at the ground. In my old bingo book, the advice when confronting an S rank was attack only with all advantages possible, he muttered. Against an SS rank, the advice was flee on sight. Kazama frowned. We will follow this advice, he declared. Everybody looked at him. All were wearing grave expressions. It took me time to realize that, but we currently have absolutely no hope of defeating them before a long, long time. I thought training, preparations and allies would help us, but it didn't. Think about it. Susanoo, with a crappy chakra control and without his Sharingan's power, could still destroy a bridge, stop tsunamis and defeat you all, even with the Kyuubi's help. Next time, your surprise counter to his powers will be expected, and won't work. We will fight him at full power. He stared at the blue sky. Tsukiyomi never took me and Kakashi seriously, the world wandered rasped bitterly. He even gave us power-ups, probably unwillingly, but still. Most of our battle consisted of him toying with us and trying to convince me to join his side. Kakashi burned him alive, reduced him to ashes. And he survived, barely phased. The blonde sighed. Amaterasu, we have all seen what he can do. He gazed at his unconscious family. We have been defeated easily, while they were holding back. We cannot defeat them. Then, you think the best thing to do is to run away? Kitsune asked. The mere idea seemed alien to him. Kazama nodded reluctantly. Their travel time is longer than our own. If we continue to jump through worlds in short succession, then maybe we can stay safe. Haku and Zabuza didn't seem to understand, but Sasori frowned. You realize it's only a temporary, and perhaps risky, solution? Even if we do put distance between them and us, they will track us down in the end. And we do not know yet the limits of your ability. Kazama smirked. Then why not test them? Sasori didn't answer like Kitsune. The teenager looked at the two missing nins from Kiri. What do you want to do? You can stay on this earth if you want, or you can follow us. He hoped they would. They would be helpful, and he had lost them once. He really wanted to befriend them again. My master will decide, the young lady replied. The decision will be his. As expected, Kazama thought. She is as dependent on Zabuza as her male counterpart was. The former Kirinin stayed speechless a moment. After we have recovered, he finally grunted, you will explain us everything. What is this world-jumping thing? Who you are really, who are these three assholes, and why they are pursuing you? Then, and only then, shall we consider following you. Kazama smiled a bit. At least he had a shot. The group, after a short walk, saw the gates of a town, and passed them. They attracted the gazes of many people, but ignored them. Stopping at the first hotel they saw, the group paid for 2 rooms of 4 beds each. They put all their wounded on them, and separated. Kishin and Kazama left to find a healer, while Sasori and Haku stayed to watch over their companions. The first thing the duo did was to question the receptionist. The man explained them that there was no hospital in Iguni, and that the local doctors were not competent enough to treat such bad injuries. He had, however, heard that a competent healer had recently stopped in town. He was apparently spending most of his time in the nearby park, talking to trees. The receptionist assured he wasn't joking. Not that Kazama really complained. Powerful people tended to be eccentric. Heck, he hadn't seen any powerful ninja without some kind of colorful issue. Not once. The prince, Naruto, loved parks. First, it was generally a calm place. No one was going to bother you. He could do his favorite activity, meditation, without being disturbed by some fangirl, rival, or unhappy bully. Really, he loved tranquility. Civilization was good, in small doses. Second, most of the plants here were receptive to talk. The young trees of towns were accustomed to human presence, and were happy to speak with the blonde. On the contrary, their wild counterparts were generally silent, if not outright hostile and misanthropist. They had all things to say. How the city grew, what kind of people loved to date under their branches, where squirrels were hiding, and especially philosophy. It was strange, but most old trees loved to debate about life, time, and other metaphorical subjects like the nature of reality. Yeah, a plant's priorities were very different from humans, though it was because they didn't have the same emotions than men and women. They didn't love, didn't hate, didn't desire. They simply were, appreciated, feared. Generally, they were simply placid and calm. But something was bothering the vegetation. A few hours ago, they had begun to become restless. Something was perturbing them. Something abnormal. Naruto had only seen his green friends acting like that twice. The first was when Gaara had helped him create an oasis near Sunagakure. The Shikaku, being a big mass of evil chakra, was driving the plants crazy with his very presence, even if its container had an heart of gold and was pretty stoic and peaceful. The second was when he accidentally unleashed too much of the Kyuubi's chakra, when that Kabuto bastard had hurt his mom while trying to kidnap him. His gift didn't purify the power completely, and well, the nearby grass didn't like it at all. The closest willow's mind connected with his own. This is wrong, very wrong. What? The boy wondered. It's a bijou? Yes, the tree thought. A very powerful one. And he is followed by an abomination. The boy frowned. He had never heard any plant using that term to design anything alive. For them, all were part of a whole, and everything was beautiful. Even diseases and parasites were part of the wonderful nature. An abomination? An entity that insults life itself, the wise vegetable explained. I don't know what is it exactly, but it is empty. Cold. Beyond the circle of existence. It is unnatural. Ageless. Malevolent. I see. No, you don't see. Hope that you will never see. The grass began to howl, as 2 people approached him. Both were blondes and looked as if they were his brothers, with some key differences. Their faces were not as androgynous as his visage, their eyes were blue and not golden, and their hair were less pale than his own. His bloodline, sensible to nature, immediately identified them. The youngest, a boy of his age, was holding back a bijou, the strongest he had ever seen. Probably the Hachibi, since Naruto was the Kyuubi's vessel, which was strange since he had heard its container was an adult man. The demon was also even crazier than the Ichibi itself, and that was saying something. The creature was begging his host to destroy everything that was not him. The boy was also carrying a fish on his back, one that looked like a sword kept within bandages. This creature was, however, reserved. It was in mourning. The oldest, a teenager, seemed normal, at least, until Naruto looked at his heart. The guy's chakra system was exceptionally developed, and his very potent energy was radiating with warmth and concern. But at the same time, Naruto was feeling uneasy when looking at him. He didn't know why, but he couldn't help but shiver, as if the newcomer was absorbing the nearby heat and joy like a sponge. The nearby plants hated his contact, repulsed by him. He is not natural! They were screaming. He is empty. Hello, the younger said to him. Are you the healer everyone is talking about in town? Naruto blinked. Fans again? Yes, he confirmed, a bit reluctantly. You want something? The elder boy nodded. Our friends are in a critical conditions. They need help. Badly. Somehow, the aura of coldness vanished, making the medic Nin frown inwardly, and put him on his guards. Were they kidnappers trying to capture him? Kabuto had done the same trick before, and he wasn't going to fall for it again. Hopefully, Mom was nearby, and would come to his help. How bad are they? He asked. Strangely, the plants were now perfectly at ease around the teenager. As if he had suddenly become normal. One is in a catatonic state, one had his ribcage hit by a hammer, one has almost all his bones broken, and the last has been the target of multiple chakra-based strikes, the teenager explained. They are in a bad shape. Damn, they must have taken one hell of a beating, Naruto wondered. They're obviously ninjas. Maybe one of their missions has gone wrong? That's beyond my competences, he answered honestly. He could help most people, but such injuries were too important to be confided to him. The duo's facial expression fell in disappointment. However, the boy who talked to plants continued, I know someone that can help you. My mom is the damn best medic Nin on the whole continent, so I'm sure she can help you. However, she generally asks for payment. Money is not a problem, the teenager replied. Just help them. His chakra was so full of hope and love Naruto couldn't resist but smile. I will bring you to her. Thank you, the youngest said Mr. Naruto blushed, realizing his lack of manners. Oh, I forgot. My name is Naruto. Nice to meet you. He grinned. The reaction from the duo was huge surprise. In fact, the boy's jaw dropped. The eldest simply blinked, a seed of doubt forming in his heart. The aura of coldness returned, weak but present. The grass held again, but not as strongly as earlier. Kazama Erasure, he said. Kitsune Erasure, the other presented himself. Happy to meet you, Naruto smiled. Somehow, I have the feeling you already know me. They had obviously recognized his name. Were they from Konoha? Or Suna? Oh boy. Kazama trailed off mysteriously. You can't know how right you are. The traveler, Kazama, unwillingly clenching and opening his fists, Kazama tried to maintain a calm facade, even if he was, inwardly, a nervous wreck. They entered a big and luxurious hotel, and he was mentally preparing himself for the inevitable confrontation with Kushina. His mother had left his mindscape for who know where, and she wasn't missed. She and her husband were now mere distant images that he couldn't help but despise. He had desired to see them for so long, but they weren't missed anymore. They weren't his family. His companions were, but was he going to do with his newest counterpart? If Kushina were still alive, then maybe he wasn't the Kyuubi's vessel? Perhaps he was still holding back the bijou, but with a family, isn't abused or hated? Or who knows, he might be a perfectly normal kid without any special problem. His interrogations were interrupted by a familiar, female voice, coming from upstairs. Naruto-kun? Shizen and I-chan. The young boy saluted. I bring new customers. Tsunade's apprentice descended quickly from the stairs, smiling warmly at the trio. Hell, in her precipitation, she tripped, almost crashing on the ground, but Kazama successfully caught her in his arms, much to his younger counterpart's awe. Shizen-san, you should be more careful, the teenager whispered. The woman was looking like a tomato. Thank you, she muttered, before standing firmly on her legs. Mr. Kazama, he said. Nice to meet you. The boy next to me is my brother, Kishin. Strangely, Shizen blushed even more. If you are looking for my master, she is upstairs. Please follow me. Naruto's medic counterpart grinned ear to ear as he obeyed. He stared at his older self, smirked before squealing. It made the teenager extremely uneasy. Strangely, I have absolutely no intention of discovering what he is thinking about at this moment, but something was strange. Why was Shizen with Naruto and his mother? She had never left Tsunade's side, and, at this moment, Kazama's mind stopped working. Golden eyes, paler hair, different face, talking to tree, the pieces of the puzzle were assembling, until he reached one obvious conclusion. Shizen! I need more sake, which was soon confirmed by the shouts of one angry blonde woman. Tsunade-sama! Shizen protested, as she saw Tsunade finishing a whole bottle of the liquid. The Sannin was sitting before a table, covered with empty containers for different, and very potent, alcohols. We have customers. Who? The kunoichi grunted, before eyeing the Naruto trio, and paling when she noticed the eldest one. Minato-kun? She shuddered, much to the teenager's embarrassment. Kazama's newest counterpart raised his eyebrows. Mom, it's not Dad. Dad is dead. Don't you remember? Yes, of course, son, she said, getting up. It's just, this boy is his carbon copy, unfortunately. I hate to wear the face of my tormentor. I don't see who you're talking about, but I assume you are Tsunade Senju, the legendary medic? He asked, even if he already knew the answer. He had to keep appearances, after all. Yes, she nodded, suddenly sober. It didn't surprise the teenager. His world Tsunade had explained him once that she had developed a technique to rapidly purge the alcohol out of her blood. To prevent accidents with perverts, she had said. And you are? Kazama Erasure, Kitsune Erasure. Nice to meet you, the lady replied. You want my help? Kazama confirmed with a little nod. 4 of our friends have been, critically, injured by dangerous men. His tone indicated, to all, that this subject was sensible, and need a treatment. Quickly. We will pay whatever price you want, Tsunade snorted. Do you take me for a greedy woman? If your friends are so badly wounded, it's only my duty as a medic to heal them. Bring me to them, and I will see what I can do. Thank you very much, Kazama bowed politely, imitated by Kitsune. It is very generous of you. Yeah, Mom! The wood user shouted happily. I always knew you were hiding a heart of gold under that rough exterior. Shut up, brat, the Sannin replied. Or no vacations with Jiraiya next summer, the blonde paled. Sadist. He growled. You say that like it's an insult, she stated. Old hag, half pint. As the two began to bicker, Shizen sighed, before staring at Kazama and Kitsune. Forgive them, it's some kind of familial ritual. I see, the teenager muttered, still astonished by the revelation of his counterpart's parentage. It's usual in our group too, only between Naruto and Chibaku, Kitsune pointed out. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if we wouldn't fit better in a lunatic asylum than in civilization. Strangely, Shizen replied. That's exactly what I am thinking about these two all the time. The void. In the abysses of Naruto's mind, the darkness were preparing. They would sleep, and slowly destroy their host's fetters. They would be patient, and take their time to perfect the blonde's psyche. They would destroy everything unnecessary, and polish the teenager's soul, remaking it in their own image. In time, Naruto Uzumaki would ascend to a greater level. He would forsake lies for truth, forgiveness for punishment. He would evolve into something to behold, and trade his humanity for the power he needed. Love, friendship, hope would all disappear. In the end, only the void would remain, all-powerful and everlasting, as it was meant to be. It was simply inevitable.